town. Welcome back to Instant Ramen. OSG here. Tonight, I'm alone from the Foxtrot network here. So it's just me, but you know what? You know how we like to do this. We like to invite a guest from our opponent. Our current opponent is Chicago Fire. And we like to get to know our opponent and see if we want to feel better about the game or we want to just kind of be like depressed going into this game. But today we've invited Nick from Glass House Soccer, Feed the Fire podcast. Nick, welcome and thank you as always for joining us.
It's great to be here, OSG. I'm glad you reached out, glad we got to connect, and glad we get to talk a little Chicago Fire Houston Dynamo tonight.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be an interesting game this weekend up in the Windy City in Chicago, 7:30 Central Time. As always, catch it on Apple TV. Listen to your local broadcast because that's always funner as well. Of course, from our side, follow the thread, and we'll be keeping you in the loop. But Nick, man, let's jump in with you, sir. We want to kind of get to know you a little personal, a little about yourself, a little about Glass House Soccer. So if you don't mind, man, tell us kind of about yourself, what got you into Chicago Fire, and then if you'll just second into Glass House Soccer, Feed the Fire podcast, man. Just tell us all about you and what's going on up there in Chicago.
Yeah, well, thanks for giving me the platform here because
Yes, sir.
if there's one thing I like talking about more than soccer, it's about myself. So I'm glad we get the opportunity here. But
The
I've been
platform's yours.
yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, like I've played soccer my whole life. Started from when I was a kid. My dad played collegiately. My mom was a coach, so it was just kind of a natural
Nice.
thing for me to pick up and play as a kid. Grew up in Rockford, Illinois, so not too far from Chicago. And when MLS founded, I was overjoyed that we had our own professional league here in the States that I could follow, that I could watch week in and week out on TV. And then when the Chicago Fire became the first expansion franchise in MLS, like I was just through the roof. I've got a local team here. This is phenomenal. So I've always been a fan of the Fire throughout the years. There have been a lot of bad years in there that we've had to stick through as well, but that just comes with the territory of being a Chicago sports fan. Um, so that was kind of my history with the game. I played most of my life, never professionally, unfortunately, didn't have the knees for it. But I have always loved it. I've been podcasting probably for the last 6 or 7 years, exclusively with Glass House Soccer for the last 2 years, and just enjoying meeting people like yourself, interacting with other fans, getting to know the opposition, getting to know the home crowd, seeing the different perspectives of the game. Like it's just been so much fun. And really, what's been cool in Chicago is there's been about 3 or 4 different shows that have all popped up in the last 2 seasons of MLS, and everyone
Nice.
brings a little different angle to it, and it's been really fun building that kind of community here. So that's what I'm. That's my little angle with Glass House Soccer. I'm trying to put out some more soccer content out on YouTube, but definitely the Feed the Fire podcast, talking Chicago Fire. That's the meat and potatoes of it, man. Week in and week out, we're dissecting every little thing about the Chicago Fire. So that's my story. That's the story of the show.
I could tell because I like to admit I do go listen to the episodes of the opponent coming on, and luckily I was lucky enough that you posted yours prior to this episode coming out, so I was able to listen, and you definitely had a lot to say. I'm going to ask you a few things, so you get to maybe vent some more. But it's probably something that'll be curious to us on our side of the realm who doesn't get to follow Chicago Fire interiorly. But man, so I look forward to it, and then of course I always go back and listen to the after game episode just to get just to feel for your perspective of the game and how it went, and just how close to my perspective was it, and how much are the for you the red glasses shining, or how much are the orange glasses shining for me? So I always have fun trying to listen to the opponent's podcast, and it's a little different too when you're hearing it from the opponent perspective as well. So again, thank you for popping on. So I'll be listening to your next one, and thanks for the shout out there at the end of your last episode. So
Yeah, of course.
fans, y'all, man, Nick, thank you. So y'all listen to his stuff on Feed the Fire, and I've already enjoyed, and I've only listened to the one episode right before this show, so I look forward to the next. hopefully we don't beat y'all too bad, so it doesn't make you too depressed. But no, no, I'm just kidding.
Well,
It's it's
we'll get into some of the
yeah.
X's and O's here in the talk for sure. But I mean, what worries me, I'll say it from here. What worries me is how the Fire still have that little trait in them, that trend where they're giving up goals at the end of each half. They're giving up those late equalizers, and it seems to me that Houston's kind of the club that can take advantage of that over your last few games, right?
Uh, they're stressful and a struggle where it's hard for us to score, and then yes, we've been scoring late and winning games in the final moments, or we lose game in the final moments because the lack of scoring on our end. So it's kind of gone both ways this year. It's kind of favored us more, but i.e. Columbus was able to score on us late, and that in that first game, that first leg of CONCACAF, and it destroyed us, and then we lost the second leg, and then we're eliminated. So it's just been a struggle offensively. 6 goals in 5 games. That's just and 3 wins out of that with a tie as well. So it's just crazy. So offense, poo poo, and defense is just sitting
Yeah.
sitting there building. But going from last season, y'all really didn't have any. I was kind of looking at your roster and didn't really notice, but any key departures did y'all? And obviously, everybody has departures, but any key departures, people that were mainstays in that lineup?
No, not really. And I think the Fire kind of did the whole addition by subtraction kind of thing. They ended up getting rid of, Miguel Navarro, their left back. They shipped him off to Colorado, who immediately transferred him to South America. He was a liability. Kasper Shabilko was not scoring goals for the Chicago Fire. Lost his scoring touch. Coaching staff didn't want to play him in a dual striker system that he was successful in Philadelphia. So he ended up getting bought out and moving to the sister club Lugano. So those are kind of the bigger names there that departed. Jairo Torres was a young DP coming up from Atlas after winning the Clausura and Apertura in Liga MX. Came up injured, never really got his groove. For a designated player to have 0 goal contributions over 2 seasons, probably one of the biggest busts in MLS history. So all of our departures were guys that really didn't contribute much to the team. And there really wasn't much contributions overall because the Fire had a really poor season. So yeah, the
Right.
best part about the guys going out is they opened up new DP spots. That was the big departure.
Well, good. So before we jump into this season, then the history of the Chicago Fire, how has it been going in the recent years with the club and the fans, and how and the perspective of both, to tell you the truth, from the club seeing the fans and the fans how they see the club.
Yeah, so the fans definitely want those return to glory days of the late '90s, early 2000s, where the Fire were trophy contenders. They won MLS Cup in '98 in their expansion season. They've won 4 U.S. Open Cups
Yeah.
shortly thereafter, and just being competitive. That's what the fans want at this point. The Fire need to be competitive, make the playoffs, and then build on from that. The Fire haven't made the playoffs since 2017, and I don't think they've won a playoff game since 2009. Again, when you only make 2 or 3 appearances since then, the odds of you winning aren't that great. So there is a pretty low standard relative to the rest of the league. The Fire just need to start making the playoffs. The fans want to see that. They want to see the continued player development of some of their homegrowns, like a Brian Gutierrez, Mauricio Pineda, Chris Brady. Those guys are all from the area. Chris Mueller, even though he didn't come up with the Chicago Fire, he's from the suburbs. So it's great to see this local talent that the club is identifying and keeping or bringing back in. And the other big thing that the fans really wanted, the red jerseys, the return to
The
red.
fire. Yeah.
They haven't worn a red jersey in almost 5 years. So this is something that we love from Joe Mansueto, the owner. He is as much a fan of the team as any of us sitting in the stands are. And so for him to do things like this, to get rid of that terrible rebrand, to bring back the red jersey, to buy parking passes for season ticket holders, like he is really putting himself out there financially, emotionally, everything to rejuvenate this club. And it just has to come down now to the performance on the pitch. That's the last piece.
Okay, a little follow-up question to your owner, but before context from
Yeah.
the Houston side of things. We've been in turmoil for it was 9, 10 years of turmoil since we lost back-to-back cups to the New England Revolution. It just went downhill. We sunk into a swamp and couldn't get back out. Of course, we won the Open Cup in 18 and had I think I won playoff in 2017. It just was the worst period of time, and the owners just shit was just crap, and the fans were asking for change. And finally, we got change 2 years ago. New ownership, new GM, new coaching. We've gone through a couple coaches. We're now happy with Ben Olsen, obviously from the way things have performed. But so your owner, is he? I didn't get the chance to do research on your ownership. Is he fairly new? And obviously, it sounds like he's doing the job that's necessary. The rebrand. We did a rebrand as well. Everything's just going upward. It just needs to translate to the performance on the
No,
field.
absolutely. And so our owner, Joe Mansueto, he made his money as the founder of Morningstar, the investment company. So
Hmm.
another big Chicago-based company.
Right.
He was a minority owner with the prior ownership group. Yeah, and he's happy to throw the money around for sure. So he was a minority owner with the last ownership group, and it has come out recently that he disagreed with a lot of what that ownership group wanted to do from a brand perspective. So what now that he's taken over, and I think it's his third year as full owner, third maybe fourth year as the majority owner, he's brought the team back to Chicago, brought the red jerseys back, and really built up the organization internally to be fan and supporter focused first. Uh, Built a lot of extra infrastructure. They built a new training facility. They're doing a lot of youth recruitment and activities. So he is very much invested in the city of Chicago in developing soccer as a great sport in the city of Chicago. And like I said, that last piece is just now him making sure he's got the right front office they're getting the right coaches and players in to get us some results on the pitch, man.
Well, it sounds like you have the right guy, like we do, like we believe we do here as well. I hope your fans are more patient whenever there's a process, and you have to trust the process. It's very difficult and very hard. Of course, you have to show wins, but same time when you show wins and fans are just get still frustrated about certain things or whatever. Like us, the lack of signings in the window, we have none. So it's well,
Yeah.
technically we have a couple, but it just the fans are just they're so critical and they're deserving as well too. They have the right to be
For
critical.
sure.
They're the fans. But so moving in now that you're ready for the season, you basically you've kept your core around. You're under this new ownership. So
Yeah.
again, reminder for y'all's fans, we just seen it here, so it sounds like y'all going in the same track. So everything's going to go up, and hopefully you'll start seeing that in the standings. Since you're on the East, I'm not too worried about y'all. We'll see you in the finals if that's what it is. But
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
yeah, parity's in the league, so you never know what can happen. You just got to start playing. Key additions this season. I saw that you had a ton of key additions. I recognized some names. I've seen some names that's already had some good time in this season. But I'll let you run through the names, and then there's a couple that I might just have some follow up questions. Obviously, there's one from Houston that we'll talk about.
Yeah, for
Barely,
sure.
barely.
Yeah.
But
You want me to lead with Chase Gasper then?
since you said the name, go ahead. We call him the White Ghost, but
The White Ghost. Why do you call him the White Ghost? Is he that scary to opposing attackers?
oh my God, he's that scary as a defender that we're at risk and jeopardy of giving up goals. Like he did not fit the system. He does it to us. Now,
Mhm.
I haven't seen his highlights. I looked at his football, and some reason he's got a good rating. But I'm going to trust your eyes and and what you've seen and what you'll tell us. But he just didn't provide anything. Couldn't do nothing. Had no pace. Didn't run back and get back on defense. Just wasn't connecting. Just didn't fit and just didn't gel with the team. And it was we bought him from Minnesota thinking he's going to work out, and then he didn't
Yeah.
work out. And then thank God somebody came in and saved our butts on taking him off our
Mhm.
roster because we needed him out anyways to try to add players and save some money. So we were in that situation. But yeah, man, tell us about
Yeah.
Chase Gasper. How's he doing in Chicago? We do wish him
So
the
he
best, by the way.
yeah, I mean he's been hurt the last game, so An auspicious start for him. I will say on a higher level, part of what the front office wanted to do this season, they really wanted to look within the league to kind of bolster the depth of the Chicago Fire, and then go
Okay.
out and make a splash with their DP signing, and that's what they ended up doing. Um, so with Chase Gasper, he was brought in to be the backup left back for Andrew Goodman, another acquisition by the Fire this year.
Correct.
Player
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
came up with the with the academy, had connections to the Indiana Fire, but for whatever reason did not sign with the Chicago Fire when he turned pro. Had a crazy journey off to like Celtic, and then getting back with Cincinnati, Red Bull, Colorado, and now he's finally back home wearing red in Chicago. So Gutman was the big upgrade at left back. He's supposed to be that traditional wing back going forward, getting involved in the attack. Chase Gasper was supposed to be the backup for him, providing that depth. And the few times we have seen Gasper play, he was proficient. He was competent. He was a good enough backup where he was not the reason the Fire were dropping points. The only problem is Gutman gets hurt in the opener. Gasper goes down last week, I believe, or the week before. So now we're taking our backup right back, Jonathan Dean, who's starting at left back right now
Man.
for us. So unfortunately, that left back position's been a bit of a boogeyman, or a bit of a curse, if I can say. That's a word we don't take too lightly around here in Chicago. But that's been Chase Gasper, Andrew Goodman. To stay along the back line, we picked up Tobias Salquist, the center back, who was playing out in Denmark, I believe. I think he's Norwegian, was playing in Denmark, and then getting right back Alan Aragoni from Lugano. He has proven to be an excellent addition. The whole back line, if we had the starting back line, it would have been a big upgrade, but the injury bugs got into the Fire really early. So that's kind of the defensive acquisitions, if you will. Is that what you expected to hear about Chase Gasper? Solid backup?
Not at all. And and I guarantee you, every listener that hears this one will be surprised that he's performing well or proficiently, inefficiently, I guess. And we're happy that he is, because we needed him gone. We needed his salary off our books and all that good stuff. And so we just wish him the best. He just did not fit here, did not work here, and he was a headache to watch when he did play here. And we used him on our second team as well. So it was just a struggle. And I think maybe it's the new fit, the new place, the new location. Maybe works out better for him. The new coach, the new style. So everything fits for him. So I'm glad to hear that he is fitting in well. And you're
Yeah.
disappointed that he's hurt and not able to play right now since Goodman's hurt as well.
For sure. But really the big names, yes, they did add Tom Barlow from Red Bull to kind of be that late game defensive forward kind of substitute, and that's how they've used him this season. But the biggest acquisitions that the Fire picked up, Hugo Kuipers out of
Yeah.
Belgium, new designated player striker, $12 million plus deal. This guy's scored 40 some goals over the last couple seasons in Belgium across all competitions. So he can find the back of the net. The problem with him is he relies on service, and the Fire midfield have not really gotten on the same page. They're having a real hard time getting him proper service. You'd think that Jordan Shaqiri would be able to provide that, but I'm sure you'll see it. When when Artur comes up and steps onto Shaqiri, he's just going to quick play a long ball up top to Kuipers. So that has been Shaqiri's MO lately. Lobbing balls, hoping the DP striker can get on him. And really, it's turning like a possession into a 50-50, and it hasn't been helping the team. So I'm sure your D mids are going to have a field day with Jared Shaqiri today.
Bring it on. If that's the way he wants to play the game, bring it on.
Yeah. But then we got to recognize Acosta. It might have been the best signing as far as impact so far this season. Kellen Acosta has really settled down the midfield for the Chicago Fire, really allowed them to have a little bit more possession. I don't want to go so far to call him like the leader on the field at this point. I think he's kind of just still taking it all in and seeing where he fits in from a locker room perspective. But his play has elevated whoever is playing next to him as the defensive midfielder, whether it's Gaston Jimenez, the old DP, who he's only a DP because we needed to move some roster spots around, whether it's Federico Navarro, who was supposed to be the next big thing, whether it's Mauricio Pineda, who can play as a center back or as a defensive midfielder. Kellen Acosta really picks them up and can control the flow of the game. So if the Fire are going to have any success against Houston, Acosta is going to have to play a big role in it, settle things down, make sure you're not counterattacking on us, and then hopefully spread the ball around to some of our attacking players.
And then score the accidental goal of the year again.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I mean,
jeez.
there could be some pretty bad weather conditions this weekend. It's going to be raining and
Oh,
snowing for the next couple days,
are you
so
kidding
maybe
me?
some of that weather magic sticks around.
Whew. Okay, so it's gonna be at least risky and cold though.
It should be.
That's
It
all
should
right.
be. That's a good Chicago game, right?
Yeah,
Maybe that's
in
the
so
Bears
in
fan in me talking.
at Soldier Field as well. So yeah, I guess it's gonna be naturally. It'll be windy no matter what. I think y'all built that stadium purposely to grab the flow of the air. So it's just
Whoever did the redesign and they made it that spaceship looking bowl, yeah, I
yeah
don't know what
yeah.
they were thinking of it, but I'll call it a home field advantage. It's a home field something.
Yeah. So speaking of Kuipers, real quick before we move on from your additions, man, I seen that the couple goals that he got, and they weren't like great crosses to him, but the rebounds he fought for the ball and they just put his two goals in. Yeah. So I heard you overpaid for him in the transfer market, you believe, but is he something that you're expecting to help get that team over the hump in the attack, or not say over the hump, but just be that key star? What are you expecting out of Hugo as far as, let's say, contributions this season? So goals and assists.
Yeah, if the Fire are going to be in the mix for a playoff spot, which is on paper, I think the talent translates to, somewhere in that 6 to 8 spot in the Eastern Conference, then he's going to need to have probably around 15 goal contributions, if not more. I think he's more than capable of doing that. Not last season, but the 2022-23 season in Belgium, he ended up with like 34 goals across all competitions. So the man knows how to score. And we saw, like you said, he's not scoring these beautiful golazos or anything. He's getting the nitty gritty goals. He's getting those striker poacher type of goals. He can give a rip, and he almost had one against Atlanta this last weekend where it just kissed the outside of the post. He can score those beautiful bangers, but he can score in a variety of ways. And the Chicago Fire, the biggest issue is just getting him that proper service, not having to have him drop so deep to get involved in the buildup of the play, but keeping him stretching that defensive back line. So I don't know if you're Houston Dynamo, if they like to press, if they like to play a high back line, like how do you think you guys are going to come out to try to defend Kuipers?
Well, from what you just described, like we like to possess the ball highly. I mean, highly possess the ball, and we do well at maintaining possession, and then we do press to win the ball back. So, and it's not a high press, or it's not, but it is a press. It's a nice aggressive press. So, um, it's gonna. I think if it's going to be difficult for him to be given that many chances, so the chances that he's going to need to take opportunities on, and if he can find himself man marked, take that opportunity to make that run or get that service and win that header first. um, it'll be tough because Mikel and Shevchenko are both very good in the air and are very aggressive, and Mikel's been getting better. Aggressive, how he's just his karate kick style it reminds of teenage Hadabi, who used to play for us as well, but he's not as dangerous. So I think it'll be tough for Hugo Kuipers, right? Kuipers to find his game that you're saying he's going to need to play. But you'll have the opportunities on the wings. So if your guys can send deep crosses in from the wings, then you'll have an opportunity to catch the defense off guard before they build up in the box. So it could be a
Great.
benefit, but if we play our game the way we're supposed to play, it's going to be a struggle. If that's what you're expecting from him, is to be a target striker, and it's possessions are a thing, man. Possessions are a thing. I don't know. It didn't look like possession was quite a thing for y'all into the game plan, but I think that's like number one possession for a game plan for us. So, and then it just builds from there. So, it depends, but you know, I
Yeah, I mean,
you
the Fire haven't really had much of an identity over the last 2, 3 seasons. Like nothing to point to say this is the one thing we do well and we can fall back on.
mhm.
2 seasons ago, when it was Ezra Hendrickson's first year as head coach, he was very defensive minded. They really tried to shore up the back line, and the Fire were gutting out games. Last season, he tried to be a little more attack minded, and that's how I think he should have been. He should try to implement more of an attacking style once you get your defense set. When you have goalkeepers like Gaga Slonina and Chris Brady who can bail you out on occasion, yeah, send your wingbacks forward. But no, but it just completely fell apart. There was no other offense, and he got canned. Frank Klopas comes in and really doesn't change up anything with the Fire or try to instill any sort of specific tactics or specific attack. So you're really just relying on your players to make plays. Personally, I'd love to see Chris Mueller get into the game. I don't know if he's 100% match fit, and that's why he hasn't had as many minutes this year. But I think Chris Mueller will really stretch out a back line if he is in the game, stay out on the wing, stay wide, and then get some good service into Kuipers. If you have Marin Haile Selassie or Brian Gutierrez playing the wing, those guys like to cut in and can kind of clog up the middle a little bit. So something to keep an eye on for your Houston fans out there.
It's definitely will be interesting. So let's definitely jump into the game. We could even bypass the last time we played, which was not even in Soldier Field. It was at SeatGeek Stadium, Open Cup game. So last season, Houston came in and got the win, and then obviously went on to win the Open Cup. But it's been since 2020 was the last time that Houston's played in Chicago, and I think y'all played in Houston once since then. So it's nice to get to play the Chicago Fire again, and it definitely will be interesting since y'all you had a good win in Montreal, but you've struggled off this season. We're kind of having a good season. We're on a 3-game win streak here, but road we're still yet to figure out. So going into this game, man, what's your formation? Guess you'll be at home, and what do you expect from your tacticless coach? And
So
yeah, and then I
yeah,
can
so
rebuttal how we play as well, I guess.
yeah, for sure. Because that's something that I try to look at doing my show as I just go, what was your last game's formation? But, a lot of teams will mix it up depending on availability. The Fire, though, they tend to stick with a 4-2-3-1, and they like to try
Same.
and send their outside backs forward. Unfortunately, like I said, our starting and backup left back are injured, so we haven't been able to really use the left side of the field the way we want to. You saw the last match against Atlanta. Head coach Frank Klopas flipped right winger Marin Haile Selassie to the left side and tried to take advantage of some matchups there. But yeah, typically it's a 4-2-3-1. They like to keep that center of the field, that four-man box, real clog it up. They try to push the opposing team on the outside or on the wings, and then they try to attack using their wingers. Unfortunately, the wingers this season haven't been able to really generate any positive touches, key passes. If you looked at the Atlanta game, the Fire played six passes into the box, into the attacking box. So they're not confident enough to make that final pass. Now I'm hoping with a few different lineup changes, maybe it's a Western Conference opponent. It's not the worst thing if you're going to lose to a Western Conference opponent. It won't affect your standings as much. That they do try to go for it a little bit more. But yep, the Fire, I fully expect them to roll out the 4-2-3-1 and then try and generate something through Shaqiri, Gutierrez, Haile Selassie, Chris Mueller out on the wing.
All right, well that'll be interesting because it sounds like it both teams are going to be able to take advantage of those wings, and we're gonna in if you're playing, we'll call it your third string left back, your backup right back, right side
Yep.
back playing your left back. Dorsey's going to have a field day on that side if y'all give him any type of space and just let him, because we will switch the ball and cross the ball, looking for Dorsey on that right wing. So we do also play a 4-2-3-1, but ours is a little bit different. So I'll explain it for your fans to
Yeah,
understand real quick, since it's going to look a little different, and it is different to us once we learned how it plays. But our right back, he is our right wing as well. So you're going to see him playing right back, defending in the box, but also you'll see him playing, getting crosses off and getting shots off in your box, and a lot of it during the game as well. He's going to be a man on a mission, and he doesn't run out of gas either, because our three on the right side right there pinches in and plays like it's a, we'll call it a 10 and 11 hybrid or whatever. So instead of playing the high wing outside, pinches in and plays left and converts with the cam and with the striker already. So makes that little triangle small. We like to play a tiki-taka ball. Real quick one-touch passes within small contagious areas that are just
sure.
filled with defenders, and that's how we work our way through and work our way around. And then when we get bogged up, we hit our wings because we know they're open, because everything's congested in the middle. So, and that's the box in the middle, the 4 box also as well. So, but the left side, you have an actual winger playing the wing, who is stretching the field on that side and working his, and attacking the defender and working his way in like a typical winger will. And that defender on that side will just support and back him up and will not overlap and push too far. He'll actually push into the center of the field. Escobar will, who is due a yellow card this game because he didn't get one last game. I hear y'all got one of those too. But Escobar will pinch into the midfield like a center midfielder, kind of like the Kyle Walker does for Man City, and but not as far central. So it's kind of different, man. We got that right side pinching in so the winger can come overlap, and then on the back side we got the winger playing so the defender has to stay back, and it's kind of like a 3-back system, rotating and just fluctuating through the game. But everything's down the middle. So if y'all are able to congest well and fill that box up and intercept, then you'll have a good time. But otherwise, that tiki taka is going to take effect, and y'all are just going to have to interrupt the game flow and get into our pockets, is what I think you'll
The
have to
more I'm
do.
hearing you describe it and kind of what I was researching a little bit, getting ready for my episode too, like these two teams seem very similar. A little
Yes.
bit of an offensive struggle, uh, hard to find goals, concede late, but they want to play through their wings, they want to clog the middle. Like it seems like these are very two similar philosophical teams, if I can even say that. And it'll be interesting to see what gives, man.
Well, y'all are able to score goals right now. Currently, I believe. What do you have? 9 goals, but 14 against, and we're just 6 goals for and
Yeah,
4 against. So we're not giving up nothing, and that's hence where we call our home hell and shell, and our defense is just playing
like
incredibly, but our offense is just crap. So it looks like y'all have got some fire in your lineup ready to score, but also where's the defense?
exactly. And that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping the home game against a non-conference opponent we haven't played in a while. I'm hoping this is the game that kind of unleashes the fullness of the Chicago Fire offense. Can't get too optimistic, just knowing that tactically it hasn't been there, and the coaching staff was kind of slapped together before the season. But at the same time, I'm really hoping at some point Kellen Acosta just says, "All right, I'm taking over." Or Brian Gutierrez says, "I'm taking over," and then Kuiper starts banging him in. The one thing I wanted to ask you guys though is how's the team been adapting without Hector Herrera? He seemed to be the guy that really made things run for Houston over the last couple seasons. What have you done differently without him in the lineup?
That's funny because my next question had Ache Ache involved in it to ask you. But so missing Ache, man, has just been huge. I mean, huge. 23 goal contributions last year. I think 18 of those being assist and 5 goals or 3 goals. Forget what it was. Just a record of assists for the Dynamo. It being his first full season with us, technical second season, but our first full season. So obviously the captain and just runs the show and just I like to call them Champions League passes. It just creates so much offense and so much opportunities. You see that out of Coco a lot, but his Ache is just more on target, and he just it keeps the team together and in control, and just you can see the team plays better and as a unit whenever he's on the field. But as far as adjusting, that's been Ben Olsen making those adjustments to not changing the style, the way we play, just implementing those players to fill in those roles. And it's been a veteran player like Acosta. We just not as hype as Costa. Well, I mean, Acosta's more known. John Gregus, we went and we brought in with a 1 year option to fill that role and play that position. And he's been taken over because Brooklyn Reigns was supposed to play it, who's a homegrown kid that's 18, still working on getting playing time into the MLS. But Sean Gargousis came in and just he solidified his little position right there, helping Arthur defend and just taking that place of Achi Achi. He's not the passer that Achi Achi is, but he's taking the place and being able to defend well and assist on the defensive side of the game. But yes, he's been a big miss, and we're lucky to have him back on April 20th is when his scheduled return is supposed to be. So it's a benefit just to miss him just for the first, 8, 9 games of the season and not into half of the season like we first initially thought when we heard about the injury.
Sure. There was a little piece of me that was hoping maybe he'd get like some token minutes in this game just to see, Mexico international, Ache
Yeah.
Ache, U.S. international, Kellen Acosta. Just, I'm sure
Yeah.
those guys have mixed it up in the international level. I would have loved to see it at the MLS level.
Sorry, not this time. But yes, we would wish it as well, just so we could have the man back in our lineup and just because we get very confident back when he's back, and so does the team as well. Fans get very confident, is what I said
Yeah.
right there. But the team gets well as too. So what I was going to ask you in just return was even without Ache Ache, how and maybe not knowing our midfield, you're going to put Coco in our midfield or you'll put Bossi in our midfield. Um, how does your midfield line up against our midfield if you threw them on paper and be like, okay, let's see who's gonna outweigh?
Yeah. I mean, maybe it is just the hometown guy in me. I'd have to give the
It's
edge
okay.
to the Fire because you've got Kellen Acosta, you've got
Hmm.
Sheridan Shaqiri,
Yep.
and you've got an up and comer, hopefully future MLS star, Brian Gutierrez, a guy who has regressed a lot this season from the opener where he had a goal and an assist against Philadelphia, an excellent defensive team. So I would like to give the edge to the Chicago Fire, but again, it's all on paper. We
Yeah.
haven't seen them produce anything that would make me confidently come forward and say, "Oh yeah, the Chicago Fire midfield is going to control this game." So until they actually have that performance, and the way I look at teams in the MLS, I mean, you are what you are until you're not. And the Fire have been a team who haven't been able to control games in the midfield and produce offensive chances.
Well, I guess hence the
So it's a coin flip,
criticism
man.
coming from y'all's end with Gutierrez and Shakiri not performing, and they're getting a lot of criticism from y'all's end. Correct? I mean, I guess I
Absolutely,
was
people
hearing
have
it
been
in your
criticizing.
episode.
Yeah, people have been criticizing Shaqiri from his first game, like, and
Right.
especially this season, they gave him the captain's armband, and I thought maybe it'll finally get through to his head that you need to play better, and if you're not going to play better, you need to at least be a better leader on the field. I don't think he's put in 90 minutes yet in a game, and if you're going to be the
Wow.
captain, you can't
Yeah.
do that.
No. You need to be a part of your team and be available to play. And just he's just not had form with y'all since he's joined the team, or consistent form. And I know that
No,
kind of sucks for y'all.
and it's frustrating because then he'll go back and play a game with Switzerland, have a goal and an assist. Or we saw last season when Miami came to town, it might have been the best game he's ever played in a Chicago Fire uniform. And 2 goals, beautiful play. Does he need 60,000 people in the stands to get going? I don't know, but yeah, he's definitely been criticized fairly, especially considering he's the second or third highest paid player in MLS right now.
Oh yeah, that's right. Forgot about that part. Man.
Yeah,
All right. I think we kind of did answer this question, but I'll just ask it just to see if you got anything in the back of your mind that might have popped out.
sure.
But how will Chicago's offense attack the Dynamo's stud wall of a defense?
If it's anything like the last several games, they're going to try to be playing long balls up to Kuipers. I'm hoping that they mix up the starting lineup a little bit and get some more wide wing play. And then you can kind of let Shakiri be a little more on the wing, Mueller be a little more on the wing, or Haile Selassie staying out on the wing, and then let Brian Gutierrez kind of work the ball around centrally, and then try and get some of those through balls, slip a couple through to Kuipers. But if again, that's my hope. If I was the coach, that's what I would try to get done. But if it's any indication, if the history is any indication, it's going to be a lot of long balls and a lot of crosses,
All
and
right,
that's
and
going to play right into you guys, I'm sure.
absolutely. I think like from what we've been talking about today is it's playing into the we're going to play our style and y'all going to have to tactically adjust to get the 3 points in this game. Just my opinion, but our good friend Jose from Ghost TV, he chimed in and you've already seen the question and kind of chimed in yourself as well. But let's just air it out. Will the Dynamo come back late again? So it's kind of will the Dynamo come back late again?
That history would suggest it. I I really think the Fire win this game. Maybe I'm getting ahead of your questions and getting into the predictions a bit. I do think the Fire find something, some way to win this game. But it would not shock me at all that the Fire give up like an 88th minute equalizer or go ahead goal to the Dynamo. It's totally within their character to do that.
I predict you're going to say you win 2-1, but I'll ask you the question. What do you think the score's going to
Well,
be?
I mean, you heard my episode I put out, so you know
Yes,
exactly
yeah.
what I'm saying here. Yeah, despite everything, because the Fire will do this, right? They will have these trends, and then they'll somehow pull this random win out of their butts, out of nowhere. And last season, they went on this middle of the season win streak against Western Conference opponents. They beat Portland, they beat Kansas City, and I was as stunned as anyone. So maybe that's what they need to do is go play a non-familiar opponent, and especially getting back home after a couple games away, turf in Atlanta, turf in New England. Maybe that's all they need. Get home, get on some good grass, play a Western Conference opponent, find that little bit of something with the home crowd. I think they do come away with the 2-1 win. I don't think it lasts because unless there's wholesale changes to how they approach a game, it's not sustainable. But for this weekend, sorry, Houston fans, I think the Fire get the home win.
Yeah, and that's all right. We'll just have to prove you wrong, and we'll wish you good luck until the whistle blows, and then after that you're on your own until the whistle blows again,
Fair
and
enough,
then
man.
and then we're friends again. But I think if Chicago can get possession to 43, 44, 45% minimum, then you're playing a game that's working to your favor currently. Anything to where the possession gets below 45%, 40 to 30, into if it gets into 30s, it's really bad. Then Dynamo are really pushing the game and controlling the game, and you're just seeing the ball in on your end of the field the entire time, or for the majority of the time, and you'll see your counters are not producing anything, not coming at anything. You might get a corner, you might get one bad shot that didn't become. You'll have a couple good chances, and just you'll like, oh, should have scored that one, and then you won't see another chance for 10 minutes. So it could be that. But so your fans, the greater your possession, the more obviously, but not really obviously, the more it's going to be advantage to where your play is playing out to where y'all want to. So don't be so sad if possession is still in our favor. If it's close, it's in your
Yeah.
favor technically. So
No,
just want to
I
make.
get what you're saying,
Okay,
and I
good,
would
good.
tend to agree. The Fire aren't one of those dominating possession type teams like Houston wants to be, or like we see from a Columbus, say, or a Cincinnati. But if the Fire can, I think that's a perfect number. Somewhere in the 40% possession range, because that means they're building up an attack, or they're at least keeping the ball from Houston enough to launch some counterattacks. So I like where your head's at with that from a Chicago Fire perspective. It's just a matter of execution, and we'll see if they can actually pull it off.
Well, let's add this tidbit to the game that I have not said, and because obviously injury availability has not come out till Friday yet. But Sebastian Fedea did take a knock in the last game, did come out at the end, and was subbed off because of it, I guess, being cautious. So We're not sure what we're hearing if he's going to even be available to play this week, just to be cautious because he did just return from a hamstring injury as well, or if he's just going to come off the bench. So there's likely Sebastian Fidea, our DP striker number 9, who, backstory, if you know it, you know it, may not be available to play, which means we may not have a striker to play. We will be playing a false 9, which will be Bossy playing that false 9, and then Seba Kowalski, we call him the Polish guy, Seba, will end up coming and playing, and then you'll have Bossy and Seba, who are very like just running around, just causing havoc right there together. So it's something different, but it may play an advantage because we'll have less shots.
Do you think Houston would settle for a road point? Because that was one thing I was thinking of,
No,
that if Houston's okay settling for a road point, maybe the Fire can take advantage. Maybe Houston takes their foot off the gas towards the end of the second half.
no, I don't think we'll
Nope.
settle. No, I don't think we'll settle for a draw. I think a lot of the times when you get to those final 5-10 minutes of a game, it all depends on how the game and the flow's been going, and are we injured? Are we being cautious because of yellow cards? Does it feel like Chicago's got advantage of the game? If we have any type of advantage of the game and it looks like we're in favor of this game, we're going to continue to go until we can ensure the win, and we're not going to back off. So if it's 1-1 and we're still showing that there's an opportunity for us to score and not give up the game, then yeah, they're going to keep pushing, and they're not going to try to slow the game down and just get a road point. We're trying to establish ourselves as a better road team, and I think Ben's style allows you to play through the entire 90 minutes, and you don't have to sit back and park the bus. And we're finding we can't do that anyways. We need to push and give opportunities to score because of the lack of goals that we are producing right now. So no, I don't think we're playing for the tie. We are coming in to play for the win, and it'll be playing for the win for the entire 90 minutes, barring red card situations, injuries, or something like that. And we're just kind of like
Yeah.
limping through the game.
That's awesome. Like I wish the Fire had the similar philosophy. We've seen how many road games where the head coach makes all defensive substitutions in like the 75th minute, and then you give up goals late. So I wish the Fire could adopt a similar philosophy like that. And hey, maybe this game of two teams who are very similarly positioned, maybe it'll rub off on them. Here's hoping.
Yeah, now you might see like were we winning 2-1 and the game come late, and he'll make some changes to add defensive type players. So you have like Chase Gasper, we have Brad Smith, who you may know of. Brad Smith is a defender that plays that left wing who can get those crosses in. So he may come in, but you may not pick out a defender. So you're adding a defender to the situation, but he's still an attacking defender. So we're not taking away from our attack at the same time. You're losing some attack because of he's a natural defender just getting crosses off. So yeah, we won't play for the tie, but if we do take a lead, then you can see us start to slow the game down, and then putting in the defenders, and then yes, you'll start having opportunities to get your ball into our box more often because we're not trying to push as much. So yeah, there is that little bit difference. So playing for behind,
Sure.
if you can do that, there's an opportunity there, but I think you need to get up and stay up. Not get up, but get up early and just bunker down and be ready for it. And if you can bunker down, then we're not going to get credible shots off.
Yeah. Like you said, early goals change everything for sure.
Absolutely, man. So I think we're kind of like hitting our time and just kind of talking, which is the best part and the funnest part. And but
Yeah.
unfortunately, there is always a time limit, and so we kind of need to move on. So Nick, from Feed the Fire podcast, man, if you got any shout out or anybody you want to holler at over there on your side of the world who may listen to this, or you just want to holler at them, they may not hear it. Please do, brother. And then we're gonna close out.
No, I want to first of all thank Jose over at Goals TV for setting this up and
Yes, sir.
introducing me to the OSG here and starting this banter off. So I encourage everyone to go out, check out goals.tv and all the great content they got going on over there. Really, just shout out to John Donovan, who's my featured guest on my show. He
Yep.
always provides a great fan take on top of kind of the analysis that I do. So thanks to him. And that's about it, man. Just the big two here, people making it happen.
Absolutely. Well, Nick from Glass House Soccer, Feed the Fire podcast, we all from H-Town want to thank you. The team will be heading up, I think it's with Friday, we'll fly out, we'll be at the hotel, we'll show up to the fields on Saturday, and hopefully just get some good experience. I hope the weather holds out and it's just going to be a good game, and nothing like that accidental goal of the year happens again. Let's just play some real soccer, and just keep it clean. No red cards, no nothing, no injuries for nobody. Like I said, good luck till the whistle blows. After that, 90 minutes later, then we're friends again. But guys, this is Instant Ramen. You know how we do it here. You know where to find us. Everybody in Chicago, y'all be safe. Please follow Nick and Glass House Soccer all y'all can. You should give him a shout out. And guys, we're going to go H's up as we take you out of here. Good night, y'all.